Welcome to Everyday Supernatural with Matt Young. Have you ever wondered if there is more to life than the things you can see in the natural world? Have you encountered angels? Had a vision? Do you hear voices? Have you been healed miraculously or experienced the power of God? There are many examples in the Bible of spiritual events that are beyond our physical ability. And these exciting stories still happen today to people all around the world. I invite you to listen in and take part in the conversation while we learn to live your life like every day is supernatural.
Hey guys, welcome to the broadcast. I am Matt Young, and today on Everyday Supernatural, we have an exciting guest. It is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton Sehon. Hopefully I said that right. You can find her at swiftfire.org so that you don't have to watch the whole video and hear at the end all of her information. She has a ton of awesome books that I'll definitely talk to her about. And so today we're going to talk a bit about frequency, atmosphere, and I'm just absolutely excited. So without further ado, I just want to bring her on and get this thing rolling. So welcome to the broadcast. It's great to have you on here. I've been trying to catch up with you and get you on here for a couple months. And it's been my thing. So many things kind of going on in the world. And then my power actually went out for like 4 days. So it's good to finally get a chance to talk to you. And I just look forward to getting to know you a little better.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to even be here with you. I so appreciate you giving me this opportunity to talk to you and all your great people. This is on YouTube? Is it on? I want to be able to share it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on Facebook.
You know what? Can I share it real quick? Is it on live? This is live, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, yay. Then more people can see it. Awesome. Yeah, we had the power thing too, internet. It has been quite an interesting situation with all this weird weather, right?
Yeah. All those people that were talking about the days of darkness, it's kind of happened in different ways. Kind of funny.
Yes, very much so. I don't see it on here yet, but maybe, I don't know, but I'll be able to share it later.
Okay.
Yes.
So, one of the things, like, people can go watch, you have told your testimony like probably thousands of times. And so I didn't want you to go into your whole testimony, even though I think it's actually important for people after they watch us to go back and hear about your journey. But if you would, like, jump into atmospheres, biofield, whatever language you want to use. I know different people use different language, frequency, vibration. I know you've done oils. I have a bunch of people that listen that are into oils. So anyway, just start wherever you want and just go for it. To me, it's all fascinating.
Yes, so my background is ministry, and I feel like I felt like God told me to go back to school and get my doctorate, naturopathic doctorate, and that was because of a lot of people in my life at that time were, just really inspiring me to check out and go forward. I had my own health transmission, and it was pretty pivotal. And some of the doctors that had helped me were just so inspirational. And I was literally on an airplane, and I thought, I had all these people when I would go to these conferences who would say, well, what do I do about this? And what do I do that? And I love healing. I love prayer. And I've seen tons of miracles over a lifetime. But what I was seeing a lot of is, like, people would get their healing and then they would go right back to their lifestyle, and they would just go, cause and effect. And so what I thought was really missing in this is just real education on some of the basics of, nutrition and how to eat and frequency and mental health and emotional health and spiritual support. And so when I went back to school, I actually went back to school because I was telling you, I was on the plane and I was like, God, do you really want me to go back to school? And I look out the window and or on the tarmac, there's these like cone things that like bend over like a triangle. And they usually have like letters or numbers or whatever. And it had ND that away. And I was like, that was the direction I was going. And I was like, okay. So everything has been very inspiring. And I really went back to school to be able to educate myself. So when I was in ministry, going to these churches and conferences, when people had questions, then I would have answers. I wanted to be a part of the solution. And, but when I got finished with school, I actually got invited to speak at a wellness convention. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know, like it just seemed like a little bit out of my normal territory and language. And I was concerned about it, but I went and it was just, oh my gosh, I was like, and so I really felt like God was like, you know what, you had, this group of people and this is a key for everyone. This is the door for everyone, because it doesn't matter who you are, or what you are. If illness is an issue, that's a great opportunity to bring in love and light and to help people and be encouraged and to see miracles. So, but the reason why I really was getting into this is because I've been just so driven about the supernatural. I have always just really, I've been so drawn to anything supernatural, whether it was instant healings or angels or encounters of some kind, or being able to see things and know things, and just the technology that God has in us anyway. And quantum physics is just like huge. Neuroscience is huge for me. So I was kind of geeked out on that anyway, but then add all of this. And what I found out is when I had my own healing crisis, I went to an MD. I was actually teaching a dreams and visions course, and I was having a lot of health issues, and this guy told me to go meet with this MD, and I've already been to all these doctors. Nothing's helped. I'm kind of over it. And he told me about frequency, and that is my language. I got that. And I love, high vibes and frequency. And we know that we can eat good food, and that brings high vibes, good books, good friends, color therapy, color frequency, music. There's so many things that can bring us up. And then the opposite of that can, bad movies and bad music, and, not good or bad. It's just vibration, right?
Right.
And so he starts telling me about how we are 67 megahertz on a healthy adult day. And when you drop down below 45, then that starts the death process. And you are actually dead at 25. And it takes like 3 weeks for your body to actually catch up to remember, oh yeah, we're dead, and cancel. And so, and then eventually, you transmute, I guess. But, so I started really going on this path of figuring out, well, what brings up frequency and what brings frequency down. And that I gave you a list of things, but essential oils is on that list too, crystals. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is so, weird that you could just like sniff an oil and you're going to raise your vibration. But, it's true. I mean, Idaho blue spruce is way up there. Helichrysum's like 157, lavender's 118, peppermint's 98. So if we're going on that 67 megahertz pocket of a healthy adult day, and you're saying I can get to 320 or I can get to 157, oh my gosh, why not? Let's stay above the snake line. Let's stay as high as we can. Now, the kicker to that is talking about, you were saying, mentioned the biofield. So we have like a 6 to 8 inch or foot biofield around all of us. And then the earth actually has its own biofield. They call it the Schumann resonance. And this biofield, our own individual one, people can call it an aura. I don't know. I'm sure there's tons of names that, biofield, whatever. But the bottom line is, what is in the field consists of code that comes from our cells. Like we all have a signature cell code. Our organs usually kind of align with that, although some organs can be lower or higher depending on different things. And then what we're thinking about, what we're talking about, and what we're feeling. This is actually one of the bigger ones, the heart, and the biggest generator. So we're big antennas. We're just walking energy sticks, and we're radiating out as an antenna, sending out signals, but we're also magnetizing in. We're receivers. And so, yeah, so there's this two things radiating out, magnetizing back in. And, I wasn't taught this in school. Wasn't taught this growing up with my parents or anything but the truth is, what we're thinking about, what we're talking about, what we're feeling, and what's in the DNA signature or the organs is projecting like a projector into the field. And when we magnetize, we only get a match to what we are. So let's say we're having a great day and everything's great, but subconsciously on a DNA level, maybe we picked up like a poverty program or a victim program or something like that from 3 generations back. That tape can be running and sending out a signal to everywhere you go. And then you keep getting these patterns, not you personally, but Cancel Clear, someone with that program could get the opportunity to magnetize that back to them. So they have all these situations that put them in a victim role or put them in a poverty role over and over and over. Like they just don't get ahead, and, and they could be like, I'm the nicest person. I have integrity. I'm doing all the things. I'm pretty loyal, and you're just like, what's going on? But it's so subconscious. It's at the signature level. And if we don't know what our code is going out, then we don't fix it. And then we keep getting the same pattern. So that's what this book is all about, is the Science of Miracles, is it goes into recognizing what's going on in your life, being aware when you start seeing things happen more than once. That's a good thing to kind of catch on, like, okay, what am I doing personally to create this to keep showing up in my life? And just what to do. There's formulas, because if we can clear the cells, if we can clear the organs, and if we can really focus on positive thoughts, making sure we have conscious positive language of life or death, right? And that we keep our feelings in check, then we can actually transmute some of this and start having, source code going out, which is love, peace, life, abundance, provision, supernatural, instant healings, all the technology that's in us already. If we can activate that, clear it and reprogram it and activate it, then that goes out, and then we start getting matches everywhere we go. And we can literally walk around and ignite miracles everywhere we go, and ignite miracles on every single person that we contact. One of my decrees, talking about conscious language, is I ignite Christ in everyone I contact. I ignite miracles in everyone I contact. I am the mind of Christ, and I ignite Christ consciousness in everyone whatever, like, you come up with what feels good for you.
Right.
But that's kind of the gist of the book. And I go into detail about specific formulas and things to do in order to clear that, to activate that, and to start seeing better patterns. Because, we're here. Let's do something awesome. We're commissioned to be here, to occupy, to take dominion, and that first step in taking dominion is here, the kingdom of God, which is inside. And when we take care of this and we work on the inside to work on this, and we all do that in a ripple effect collective, we can literally change the world and change the human. And so I hope that answers your question. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm one of those people that firmly believe that our job to transform, terraform, whatever word you want to use, the earth, whether you believe the earth is round, flat, a square, like, I don't care. It's our job to transform the earth. I believe we are living in the best days ever, despite what things that, may not be going well in some people's opinion. And I think, yeah, we have to frame things up, not from like an insanity perspective, but sometimes, I mean, I know you're familiar with visions. I know you've had them, the seer realm, all that kind of stuff, the language. Some of us who see things in the future, I know people think we're crazy, and that's fine with me. Because somebody has to speak these things out. There has to be hope, there has to be love there, but how for you, because I've watched you enough to tell, like, you're the real deal. This is really who you are. You're not someone faking it. Because there are a lot of people, honestly, like, that's that phrase, fake it till you make it. I'm just like, maybe that works. It never worked for me. I try to be a truth with love. Sometimes it does come across as a hammer. But how have you personally, like, with some of the struggles you've had, I mean, you've overcome a lot of things, but like, how have you, is there, like, I know it's more complicated. It wasn't a one-time thing, but it's like, it's a constant decision to be positive. And when you're around those people that you can just feel the negativity, and sometimes they don't even mean to, it's just part of their programming that they don't even know is there. How have you learned to cope with that? Or sometimes the Christian language is those of us who are feelers and feel other people's stuff, or we're projecting our stuff on other people. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, those are all great questions. So, I guess the biggest thing that I became aware of is that there is no them. Everything is us. Everything is me. And so, if let's say I have a code of, hate, and it's even like 3%, then no one will be able to come into my realm unless I have a low, everyone will subject to my lowest common denominator. So we only get a match to what we are. So if we can look at every person who comes into our life, and let's say they have an issue with us or whatever, if we can always go back and take responsibility or be responsible and go, okay, why did I create that? What was it in me that allowed that to happen? And constantly going back to the drawing board, kind of like you said, making a choice again, and really being insightful and taking ownership of whatever it is that's happening, because it's a gift. It's a gift that God allows things to happen so we can see what what work still needs to be done, to be honest. And so I'm not saying it takes everybody off the hook from making their own choices, because willpower is 400,000 times stronger than spirit. That's why there's such a fight on the planet with humans versus AI, is they want us to be an AI so they can hit a button and program us to do whatever and be their little slaves and pay our little money and be happy in our little prison houses with our TikTok. And, and they're just getting our tax money and doing their thing. It's like, that's why the chemtrails, that's why all this stuff, to completely change the technology and to put in AI, really, to keep us, the robots, and then dumb down technology that is up, that we have the opportunity to be. So what can we do? Again, if it's like a person that I somehow created to come into my realm, and maybe they weren't honoring to me, then it's like, okay, so what in me has dishonored myself to put out that code to even allow anyone to come do that to me? So it could be, maybe I was eating terrible food that day, or, people who participate in drugs or cigarettes or alcohol or anything like that, no judgment. And also that is consent to entities. So you bring, those vibrations are a 10. So you that's less than dead. 25 is, 40, you know what I mean? So you're starting out wrong right away with, and it's not right or wrong. It's just a journey. Everything is divine. And when we take when we make those choices, we can override the technology, the kingdom, And we can go, I'm just going to take my own personal course here and do what I want. And then also there's cause and effect with that. And so now, when I was talking about detoxing the body and that kind of stuff, I'll give you an example. I'll give you two, actually. So you can have parasites, physical parasites in the body, right? Well, you may have gotten that from dogs or food or touching something or whatever, but parasites have their own energy. And so they're an alive thing that's inside of you, or not you personally, but I mean, people can get them. And then that energy can cause confusion in the body because you have your energy, they have theirs. And it's like having 100 people in your house. And it's like, whose voice do I listen to? And also it sends off a message, victim. And so victim energy goes out, and guess what? There's things, roaming around. What's the scripture about? He's roaming around, that vibe is looking around to find anything lowest that it can to hold on to and to attach to and to participate in, because, low vibrations, they can bait you into stuff. So it's like, again, you could be walking around going, oh, I do all the right things and I'm so happy and I have great integrity and I'm so nice to people and I'm a good mom and a good dad and, I've never cheated and I don't drink. And then like you keep having this victimization cycle and you're like, why is everyone pick on me? Why does nothing work? Cancel. So, and same with the liver. I was going to bring up the liver bitterness. A lot of things that store, if you're angry or pissed off or hateful or, something happens tragically, the limbic system, this is the frontal lobe, the limbic system is behind that. Limbic system is where all the emotions, seat of emotions, but also like the librarian of the body. And if you go through something traumatic, the librarian goes, she's got this, we're going to defrag this from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. and it'll be gone. Or maybe she's too tired to deal with it. Or maybe it's happened so many times now that she's like freaked out about trying to transmute it, or, or it's about an authoritative figure or someone really close to her did something. So that limbic center knows like, this is the time or it's not. And if it's not, it takes it and goes, I'm going to store this wherever. And it sits there dormant, and it could stay a week, a month, a year, a decade, forever, and dormant, or it will start to activate. And if it activates, it sends a signal, usually inflammation or pain or emotions. And then we have a tendency to see that signal and go, oh, let's go to the doctor and we'll get that removed, or we'll get on pain medicine to turn it off, or just whatever the thing is. And we don't deal with the signal, and we don't take that message and say, oh, it's ready to go. This is time to move, and so when we can see those signals and know that this is the go time to deal with it and to move it out and transmute it, instead of let's turn it off, press it down, depression, oppression, suppression, that is the opposite of expression. That's the opposite of authenticity. It's the opposite of being. And when, people often can get really depressed by depressing. If you see people who are depressed, and it's like, well, express, communicate, be creative, do some things the opposite to uncap that. But liver specifically happens to be a place where if you're betrayed and you have unforgiveness or something, then that goes and stores in the liver. And what it does for a signal, it sends out, I'm really pissed off. I hate the world. I'm mad. I'm resentful, anger, resent.
Right.
That keeps going out. So that code goes out. You start attracting assholes and like mean people and people who are mean to you, and it's like, oh, I was so nice to everybody. Why is this happening? And, and it's like, oh yeah, maybe I have some anger issues myself and maybe need to deal with me so I can clear that. Cause scripture talks about wanting to stand, what you stand before. Well, this isn't a scripture, but I heard one time, I woke up to what you stand before you become. And I started looking in the scriptures about like the mirror and like God wanting to see his reflection or her reflection, God source's reflection in this clear glass. And, if there's stuff that needs to be detoxed or moved out or transmuted, that is not a reflection of source code. That is not love. It's sin, and sin technically means less than the target, less than the goal of love. So it's not bad. It just is. And, you know, we can get caught up on the whole bad or good. And I'm not in that program. To me, it's when something shows up, it's mine to fix. When something shows up, then it's good because I'm aware that I can actually see that it's showing up. Some people don't even know it's showing up. They're just walking around all mad or sick or whatever, and they don't even recognize, oh, I created that. I can fix it. You know, the good news is you made it. And the good news is you can reverse engineer it. So like when you go to the doctor and let's say you have a broken arm, they do an x-ray, you know, they're not going to be like, shame on you, you have a broken arm. It's like, no, this is just where you're at, dude. Like, it's fine. You know, let's fix it. Now that we know, we can fix it. You know, so don't be so hard on yourself. You know, realize that everything and everybody is a gift. They're just playing their role, submitting to your low vibe, and then taking responsibility. And you mentioned something. You said, you know, sometimes people think you're crazy or whatever. And, you know, I had that program too, and no judgment I'm saying, but I think in the church, there's so many programs, in the world, you know, and one of the programs I had was if you're a pioneer, you're a target, and you're going to get, you know, because you're way up there and you're going to get all this stuff. And it's like, I thought about that one day and I'm like, that is a terrible part. Why did I even pick that up? I was like, you know what? Screw that. Like everywhere I go, I am honored. I am honored everywhere I go. I'm accepted everywhere I go with every idea I have. Like as long as I'm walking in God, I'm accepted. I'm honored. I'm celebrated everywhere I go, you know, and I changed it, you know, and I'll say this. The big wake up for me is I was sitting in my living room and I heard something happened. And I called my mom and my mom was like, there's always something. And she didn't mean it like, it's a miracle. She meant it like, yeah, that sucks. What else will go wrong today? You know, and I love her. And we've changed. We recognize it now that we were in this slump. I was only calling her to agree with me, to be upset. You know, it's like you call those people that are going to do that, right? But scripture says, whatever you give ear to will be given unto you. And it's like, oh my God, I'm not going to give ear to anything anymore. I recommit. But I heard that Murphy's Law thing, and I had bought it. I had, you know, framed, and you know, if anything bad is going to happen, it's going to happen to me. Program, cancel, clear. And I was like, that is such a terrible program. And then I remembered hearing Dr. Phil say, the best way to predict the future is look at the past.
Right.
I was like, that is a terrible program. I was like, and no, nothing against him, but I was like, if this is what they're teaching us and this is what we're believing, being alive in, then no wonder we keep getting this like boomerang stuff, you know, because this is a code going out that we're getting back in. So right when I was thinking that and awake to it, I looked down and I saw something and it came across Facebook, and it was Abraham Lincoln. And he had a quote that said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Matt, at that moment, I was like, oh my God, we have the technology. You know, you're probably too young to remember like Steve Austin and the Bionic Man, but they would do that. We have the technology. I was like, we have the technology. We can create anything. And
right.
Yeah, I mean, and it is a choice every day. I had something big happen last week, and it was sucky, and it was not fun, and I was like, "Oh my God, what's looking back to me?" I mean, I'm in a situation with moving and picking and making choices, and we found like 3 things, and I like all of them. I don't know which one, and I choose to remember which is the right one, and they all came back as not being the right one. And I said to my husband, I wish I could have like 3 things from each of these things because I want them to all have a baby to make the thing that I like, you know? And then I was like, listen to me. This is last night that I was like, here I go. I'm doing it. You know, I go, you know what, forget that. I'm going to outcome map. I'm making a list of everything that I require and that I choose to create. And I'm going to have this happen. And now that this has happened, now that I'm in my house, that's exactly the way I want it. And it's here and it's ready and it's a good price. And it has all these things that are on this list. What's new and different for me? And I felt my body relax. And I was like, and guess what? It happened this morning. One house with all those things and more all ready for me. Happened today. So I'm telling you, if I could do it, we can all do this. This is our inheritance. So yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I'm over here like trying to take a deep breath, going like, you talked about the snake line, you talked about all these different things, and I'm like,
sorry.
no, it's fantastic, but like, I'm supposed to be like asking you good questions, and I'm just like, no, just keep talking. It's really, really good. So I'm really enjoying it. But to go back to like the snake line, I think it was Bob Jones, who was one of those people that when he was alive, I'm not sure how much he was celebrated, but of course everyone loves him now. You know, those kind of things. But like for you on your path, when it comes to like the spiritual side of things, like language doesn't bother me. I know some people are intuitive, some people are prophetic. Like language is language. It's all the same kind of thing. And I appreciate you, like the crazy word. I'm like, that's one of those. Well, let me start here. When you say clear cancel, because I hear you say it quite often, are you literally like, it's like a program, you're clearing and canceling it out of you, like conscious mindset?
Yes, because I still catch myself like saying, like, one of my sayings that I'm choosing to transmute is when something cool happens and it's like really, really cool and good for me, I'll go, this is so weird. Like I'm still shocked and surprised, but weird isn't my highest choice, and neither is crazy. Like I'll say, this is so great. Well, crazy is not a good word to decree over a situation. So I still have those glitches in my programming, and every word that you speak actually goes into the field. And so when I do catch myself, I try to make a conscious choice. So I say, I cancel the words and I clear the energy behind it, because just like when God speaks, he spoke the world into existence, and it's still happening. Like galaxies are still going on and on and on. So, we have that technology too, and it can be used against us by saying really dumb things. So I don't always do the best, but yes, to answer your question.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was thinking the phrase that people used, like I used to hear, and people would get upset with me because they would say the higher levels, new devils, and I would go, "There's no levels, there's no devils. I'm just."
Exactly.
And people would talk about, we're standing on the backs of those before us. I was like, no, I'm not standing on anybody's back. I honor them. I respect them. I'm going to learn everything I can from them.
I love it.
People would get upset with me, and I'd just be like, it's okay.
That's perfect. That's perfect,
Matt.
That the one you said about new levels, mine, I changed it. It's new levels, new angels. That's what I say. New angels. Yes, we're all upgrading with new angels. Yeah.
And I'm not without struggle, but it's those things that like sometimes as you're talking to someone else, it's like, oh, you can even feel it. Like I can feel it in myself. Sometimes like, oh, that I should have said that. And so I love your clear cancel, because I watched enough of your videos and I'm laughing because testimony, like I'm hearing you say it enough times where I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this, because that's how I'm like, I honor you. I respect you. I'm going to try what you're doing. So I have a little bit of pain in my body, and I was like, nope, clear cancel. And it was gone. I was like, wait a minute, what? In the same way that somebody would say, I command in the name of Jesus, as if you have to say his name because you're in Jesus. So, I mean, you get all that stuff. But anyway, I just thought so I just kind of pulled that from you. I was like, okay, clear cancel. And then the pain just left.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
It is funny. And it's funny that even that you said that it's funny, because it's really not funny. It's just cool. But that's another program. And another program is if we find let's say you get in your car and you realize, oh, I forgot my keys. That's what we say. I forgot my keys. And it's like, no, you remembered your keys, dummy. It's like we say these things. And, back pain is usually feeling like you're not fully God supported. So if you feel back pain, just say, I'm fully God supported. God funds all my projects. and you will watch it just go away really, really quickly. And it's cancel, clear, not clear, cancel, because I cancel the word and then I clear the energy. It's probably the same either way. But another one that I was saying that actually got me in the biggest trouble so far is saying things like, I'm done, cancel, clear, or I'm over this, cancel, clear. Or I'm not going to do this anymore, cancel, clear. Because your subconscious is very literal. So if you're like on your computer and you're typing and you get 39 pages of a book that you're going to put out, and then you accidentally like hit a button to delete the whole thing, the computer doesn't go, oh, she's just having a bad day. That was an accident. She has fat fingers. It's like, it's going to do what you tell it to do. And same thing with our subconscious. It's very literal. We say things like that. And that is a death wish. And basically your subconscious goes, okay. And it starts working towards that. So I found myself in a really worse healing crisis, but I actually flipped it, not only just with natural things on a structural level, but then in the end, it was conscious language choice of realizing, real eyes, seeing, and literally it was an instant miracle, instant. So
yeah. Wow.
We're so powerful.
Yeah. And that's why, we're the most powerful technology ever created. I mean, whatever language you want to use, it's like, if you can see something, that's a created thing doing something, well, we can do way beyond, anything else that can do that. So, you mentioned willpower, and I don't know how much you'd be willing to share about that, but one of the things people always hear me say is like, willpower is stronger than faith. I don't have the information that you do, because I heard you say like it's at some kind of frequency or whatever. But can you talk a bit about willpower? Because like I would argue I have strong faith. I've seen God do many, many things, and then I take action sometimes. And now I'm like trying to frame it up. We'll just say I take action and I have strong willpower, but I don't get the technology behind it. And I'm always telling people, just use your will, use your faith, use your will, et cetera, et cetera. But can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. One of my decrees is I am God in action. And I'm not ever saying like I'm God, but I'm talking to the God in me, the technology of God, because it says greater things than these. This is our inheritance. Greater things than Jesus? Yeah, I just said that, and that's what's in the book, and I'm going with that. That means what? Bigger things. Jesus is the highest scalar wave. Again, nothing touches Jesus. So, so far in anything that I've seen. But so good question. I was having dreams over and over again. And all the dreams kept people coming to me saying, it's time to meet Will. It's time to meet Will. It's time to meet Will over and over. Do you know this story? Am I like saying something?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I was calling my office going, is there a Will somewhere we're going, or a William, or is there like a wellness center thing, or the pastor, or like we have a meeting with William, Billy, Bob, whatever, anything close to it. And it was zero. So I was like, okay. So fast forward. When I was doing that dreams and visions, it was 331. That's Bob's number. Anyway, but sorry. Girl. No, went to I was teaching a dreams and visions course, and I met this doctor, and he was testing to see how many traumas were actually in my body. Now he wouldn't say how many were active or non-active, but he has all this literal technology, like machines from China and Germany and everywhere, like create like cool technology to test us. So basically I'm sitting there, and he's hooked me up to this machine, and he gives me this board, like a clipboard that has a paper on it. And as soon as I take the board, the machine, Matt, it sounded like Pac-Man just died. And I was like, oh, and I look over at the guy's face, and he's just like, I was like, I'm like, okay, that's not the face you want to see a doctor like give you when you're like, what did I do? So I was like, what's on the paper? I look down, and it says all these really pretty things. It says like, I am loved, I am beautiful, I have a call, I have a destiny, all these like decrees, right? So I go, what? Like what? I don't understand, you know? And I mean, I would change that to now. I am clear. I remember everything. I know what I'm talking about. I have the mind of Christ. But in this time, I said, I don't understand. Cancel clear. And the doctor's like, basically, you don't agree with anything on that paper. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I mean, totally. And he was like, what do you do for a living? And I did not want to say. I was so embarrassed to be like, I'm a minister, you know, because at the time I was a minister. I like, what a bad reputation, like representative of Jesus to be like, I teach this everywhere I go, but I don't believe any of it. You know, it's like, oh, so I was like, oh, I'm a pro bowler, you know, it's like, I'm a photographer, you know, just like, no, I didn't lie. But I was like, yeah, actually. So I said, what do I do? Man, like, I thought I believed this, you know, this is what I teach everywhere, all over the world. Like, I write books about this. And he was like, look, give me the paper. So he takes the clipboard and he gets the pencil and he's like sitting there thinking, and then he writes something at the top and he hands it back. And as soon as he hands it back, like Pac-Man doesn't die. It's like a miracle. Like everything's good. I'm like, what did you do? And he just put at the top, I will. And I was like, what? He goes, I want you to read the paper, and in front of every sentence, I want you to say, I will that I am beautiful. I will that I have a call. I will that I am divine in whatever my purpose, or I will whatever. And I was like, what? And he was like, your will is 400,000 times stronger than your spirit. And as soon as he said that, I heard again, it's time to meet Will. And I was like, you know, it was just like, you know, so there's frequency, there's power and will. There's willpower is put together because will has power for sure. And, you know, it's a strong name too for anyone named William or Will, but we have the technology to actually override God mission. Like when I do, when I've tested and work with these people who do scalar waves, they will test like the guy, Aleister Crowley, who did like the Devil Bible or whatever. And it'll show like that, you know, how much of a percentage was he in his personal purpose and how much of a percentage was he in his divine purpose? Because there's two different things. You can be in your divine purpose, you know, 80%, and you could be in your personal purpose 100%. Your will can overtake what you're actually called to be here. Now, what's really sad is a lot of these people who are in these roles, it'll show that, and do they enjoy the role is one of the things we test. And usually these people who are sinister shadows, it's creepy. They 100% love being sinister. And I'm like, God, that's so, I don't want to say anything, but, you know, but so yes, willpower, you're right. I love how you brought faith and will together, because there's hope, but then there's faith.
Right.
And there's will. You know, those are, I mean, hope is like, but will, like you said, don't you just feel when you say, I have willpower, I have faith, you know, faith in action. I am the will of God for my life. And I'm getting excited just talking about it. Like I can feel stronger.
And I'm over here like ready to take notes. What's so awesome is I've just been doing a class called Transform Your Emotional Life. It's programming your subconscious. It's dealing with your past stuff, right? And I've never heard anyone talk about like, I will, because I can remember learning this stuff through my own journey like 20 years ago. I remember phrases like, I can communicate well under all circumstances, because I couldn't communicate very well. And so the programming, so I'm now going to take the I will.
Yeah, well, and he suggested to get in the mirror and like look in your own eyeballs and say, I will that this, and to take time to do it, because it'll actually not only change the technology, but guess what? Then it changes the field.
Right.
So if you flip the field, then guess what? Your patterns change. So you're not just, and if you're a mom and you've had kids, you know, then you carry all your kids in your body still, and every partner you've ever been with, by the way. So that's, but So every time we make that inside choice, we're actually doing it for all of those people too. So if it feels extra, it's because you're doing it for many. And we got you'll see this. Those of you who are moms out there, when you start doing the inside work, you'll start seeing your kids change, your husband change. When you're a husband and you start doing the work, you start seeing your wife change, because not only are you changing the field where they can only submit to your lowest, but it's on the inside that you're actually changing them to behave differently and to treat you differently. So it's a win-win. You know, don't put the energy. I see a lot of energy in church or business settings where it's like, make them do this, or be so upset if they don't think the way you do, or, you know, like, this is the way, you know, like Yoda, I'm drinking out of Star Wars. It's like, no, this is the way. You have to do this way, or you're bad, or we're going to judge you. And it's like, no, work on you, do it on the inside, and everyone will submit to that, you know, or they'll just be tired and go away and you won't have them in your life anymore. And those are the two choices, because they won't be able to stay in your field. So, and the supernatural that you talk about is even a program. It's like supernatural, more super than that. It's like, no, we just are. Like, this is just normal God stuff, you know, like this is just greater things than these, you know, to live as God, Christed energy on the planet, doing his will here, commissioning and taking over the world as we are supposed to be if we're awake to it. So, yeah.
It's awesome. So what is awakening to you? Because I hear people talk about awakening's coming. I'm awake. We're in an awakening age. Like, there's like people, and I tend to like bite my tongue and just smile. But I'm like, what does it actually mean to you? Because I know you're someone who's experienced the supernatural, you know, your whole life. And I know there's people that just haven't yet, and they will. But what would you throw that terminology around? What do you, when you hear that, what do you think, or, you know, about it?
Awake for me is connecting to source. It's like, you know, kind of like the born again situation, you know, like, how do I be born again? You know, I'm, you know, Nicodemus or whatever, you know, it's like, and we can awaken and awaken and awaken and awaken and awaken. I mean, it seems like just when you think, you know, you just are really don't know anything, you know, and I don't mean that in a negative. You know, I go back and recommit. I am the mind of Christ. And I just got emotional just now. Like, so this is really important for somebody to hear, is this is a time where, you know, we can live our lives and do whatever and like be so in the mundane of just the get up and take the coffee and get in the car, you know, all this just kind of programming. And then something can come along and shake that up. And usually, you know, pain is a really good teacher, unfortunately. But if we keep remembering that it's not something that's happening to us, but it's happening for us, and that we're the ones that instigated it happening for us, because it's giving us the eyes to recognize the patterns so we can actually do something about it. And it's kind of like if you're the manager of a big office firm and you show up one morning a little bit earlier than everyone else, and you walk in the office and like stuff's everywhere, like chairs upside down, desks turned over, trash cans everywhere. Like, you have the authority to put everything back or tell everyone who comes in, fix this, right? Like, you don't have to call someone and go, do I have permission to put everything where it's supposed to be? No, if we see it in us, it's ours to fix. We're the managers, and we're called to be responsible in this time. And it seems like to me, in my wake up, you know, I thought I was pretty woke, you know, and they try to use that against us with a different connotation. But the more I find out another layer and another layer, and I was like, oh my gosh, please don't touch that one. Like, can we please just let this thing be true, you know? And then we find out it's not. And but I'm also at the point, Matt, where I'm like, I don't care if you tell me Santa Claus is my dad. If you know what I mean? Like, I just have to have the truth. And I had an encounter with a being named True in 2010, and literally it shifted my entire energetic expression, and like it changed my whole life to be a different person and to have a different path. And authenticity is a superpower. Truth is a superpower. Truth is a person. Truth is a vibration, a high vibration. It is God who is awesome. And when we can be awake, to me, it's to remember source in us. And I like the word remember because means to do again, member as in one body, and also one body as a whole on the planet. So I remember my awakening. I am awakened. So is my world. I am God awake. I am that I am. You know, if anything fails and we're like, what do I say, you know, in this situation, always go back to I am that I am. I am that I am. And say it in the mirror, say it out loud, say it in the car, say it until every cell in you remembers that God is in every cell, all the trillion cells within us. We get to radiate that. And I mean radiate like the sun, like blazing it out, not the sponge that takes it on and oh poor me. Like the sun just blaze it. You can like throw rocks at the sun, you could scream at the sun, you know, we might even get a couple clouds in between and it looks like it's not there, but it has not stopped its job. And this is what we can do with our cells to project out. And the problem is what a lot of people think is if they're looking at the projection, they get mad at what's projected. They get mad. It's like going to the movies and screaming at the screen and going like, oh, I hate the ending. It's so dumb. You know, it's like, no, you got to go change the projector if you want a different ending.
Absolutely.
If you want a new a new end and a new program, a new pattern, we have to go inside and change the projector to flash out truth, source, love, peace. And we don't have to. We get to.
Yeah.
You know, this is what we get to do while we're here. And that's anyway, I get really excited. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
I love it. Love it. What do you find yourself doing the most nowadays? And then what do you, for you personally, business-wise, ministry, whatever you want to call it, just who you are, what's kind of coming up for you in the next couple of years?
Continuing to do my show. I have a show called True TV with our True TV. I do a lot of bioscans and coaching for people who feel like stuck in their patterns. And, you know, sometimes it takes an outside facilitator to be able to go, oh, did you hear you said that? And like switch the pattern. You know, sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and babies are born and they don't even hear yet. What activates the eardrum is after they're born, they cry and it actually activates their ears. So sometimes it takes another person to say back, this is what you're saying, this is what you're doing, this is the pattern, to be able to recognize and see in order to reverse engineer it. So I do a lot of coaching. I do, whether it's business, marital, finances, purpose, health. As a naturopath, I'm going to always include the actual staples of nutrition, supplements, essential oils, taking care of yourself, being in nature, drinking water, you know, all that stuff. But TV, you know, doing whatever I can with social media and getting the truth out. And, you know, of course, the whole, that includes politics. And I don't want to, I don't like the word necessarily, but, you know, there's been a lot of political science and, you know, science is science. The truth is the truth, whether it's in any form. And, you know, I'm going this weekend to actually meet with Jim Caviezel. He's doing a movie about the kids and the underground stuff going on with saving the kids and stuff. And I think media is a big thing, is just getting out the truth on a visual, because Mockingbird is a project that went against the nation and the world for us to all lock in and use our powers to lock into a certain image. And that image, we use our creative power to create it for them, and they don't have to do anything. And so the more people that we can get activated to put out good media and real truth media, that's always a positive too. And I love Jim. I don't know him personally, but I love his work, and he makes me cry. Like when he does his Ronald Reagan thing, oh my God, like I just, every time. And then of course the Passion of the Christ, and he lives it. He goes to church every day. I'm not saying that church is the thing, but I'm saying there couldn't have been anybody better than this guy to represent. He's literally love on legs. And if we can all continue just to recognize and work on us, collaborate with people like you, I mean, that's what I foresee too in the future, is more people like mind finding each other and, supporting one another. And, multiplication is an awesome thing, because when we cross pollinate, it brings this multiplication and this amplification. And we're at a tipping point. They're trying to make it look like there's more dark than there is light. And that is a Mockingbird project that is really putting it out there to make it look like it's not. And it's not. There's way more than us. There's way more of us. And there's a lot of choices right here on the brink of where we are. And it's going to be an exciting, and we were born for right now. We get to be alive, to be a part of the shift, like what? Us? Like how cool is that? How powerful are we that we get to be a part of the process? So just, if we can make sure that we're not on all these default programs that are going to add to the slack, and that we can recognize and, just speaking truth will activate people. We don't have to force anyone to think like we do. We don't have to make anyone, oh, but you should do this the my way. It's like, just be you, and that will activate everybody. And so I'm just working on me, working on being me, shouting from the rooftops to anyone that I'll speak with, getting with people like you. You're so amazing. Your show. I mean, I saw your little program before this. I was like, oh my God, this is fancy. Like he's like creative and legit. I mean, it's just beautiful, the imagery that you use. And when you're imaging a nation just with that little intro, I mean, it's brilliant what you're doing. So, I'm so excited to work with you. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah. And I know people, I didn't do that, but and it's actually somebody that I hope you meet. I'll talk to you off air about it. And to me, that's the funny thing of, without saying any names, I'm on the phone with one of my friends. We're talking about all the stuff that's going on. And I said, we just need such and such person to pop his head back up and save the world. And we're just kind of laughing because we had both met that person. And I search on the internet, and then that's when I find you doing something with that guy. And I'm like, awesome. So I was like,
I know who you're talking about now. Okay.
And so like, I don't want to drop names, but because so, but I was like, he's one of my favorite people. So I was like, it's just so funny. And then it's like you remember of like, oh, I actually remember seeing you like doing oils with people, I think from my last church from years ago. I think you actually came to Maple Valley or Renton or somewhere, and people that and I was like, it's just, it's crazy, like timing, how all that stuff works.
It is. And yes, he's one of my very best friends, and he's been a pivotal part of my life since the late 90s. We've traveled the world together, and I love him so much. And that's cool that, I've been around a little bit and probably was at one of your church sittings. And I do use oils because of frequency, because the disciples would pray and use oils.
Right.
And, they weren't supposed to, they were sent out 2 by 2, and they couldn't bring a cloak or a bag or anything. And 2 sentences later, it says, but they prayed for people with oils and they got healed. It's like, why didn't they mention that they brought their oils with them? It's like, Luke, the physician, he was not writing scripts, dude. He was not sending out the pharmakeia witchcraft to people going, here, take that. So we get the opportunity to go back to the basics. And it's such a small world to kind of circle back and meet you again. That's really cool. And awesome. Yes.
And it's fun, the praying for people with oils. I had a friend give me some oil, some oil, and they're like, use this for yourself. And so when I went to like village to village to village in Africa, I was like anointing everyone with this little dot of this oil, and just saw God do crazy stuff. And then of course I put it on myself, but I was like, no, let's actually like get every single person into this frequency, and let's just see what happens. That's where I like to step out in faith and just kind of have some fun and see what happens. So would you tell a Bob story? I know you have lots of Bob stories because there's people watching that are familiar with him. He came to the church that I was a part of many times before I was ever part of that church. So I mean, I just want to honor, I know you had a relationship with him. I know you knew him. Do you have one or two Bob stories?
I traveled with him for over about 15 years. He still is. I'm looking at his picture right now. I keep it on my my desk, and he's someone that's very, very dear to my heart. He was very much a part of my awakening process, and had a dream about him and had some things happen. And I wasn't even didn't know anything about the prophetic movement or whatever. And I was just told to go to this place and I was going to meet him and he was going to lay hands on me. And, but yeah, and that started a really beautiful, relationship where I would meet up with him at least 1 weekend a month for over a decade. And, I would just pretty much carry his bags, his Bible, do anything he wanted to do. I was like, I'm just here to learn. And, but he, when we saw 341 anywhere, it would be like a hotel number or an address or a license plate or anything. And when we saw that, we knew we are right in the right pocket. Like this is God about to happen. And, yeah. And so that when it popped up, whenever I see it to this day, it's always like a little Bob wink to me, like that I'm on the right track with the right person. And, but yeah, he's hilarious. He, we have, oh gosh, I don't even know what stories. I mean, you know that he died and he came back and, he had photographic memory. I mean, he could remember everything, and lots of visions. He brought people up. I say up. One of the times that I met with him, he literally just touched my stomach, and literally I was gone and in the galaxies. And I know it sounds whatever, but
sounds what everybody should experience. But keep going.
Yeah, totally normal. But saw a golden eagle, and some different things happen with that. And I've seen him. I've seen crazy, awesome healings through things that he's done. He was with me when I've had, a marriage, a previous marriage, and was with me through all of that and through miscarriages. And I mean, he's just been a special, still is a special, wonderful friend who often still comes to me and just comes in my dreams or whatever and encourages me. But when I was on this thing with the oils, he actually had a dream about these bottles that would be in the medicine cabinet. And I was getting all this stuff about that. And then he was saying that this is for the healing of the nations. And then Bobby Conner had a word about it specifically. And that's what sort of gave me permission, or maybe I guess I used them to tell me that it was okay, because they submitted to me and my creativity power to talk back to me. We'll use each other at times to just say the things that we already knew, but you know what I mean? But yeah, he's an awesome person. That's cool. Yeah. Did you get to meet him ever?
I never did. I just got to hear lots of fun stories. And of course, I've watched videos and things like that. And I mean, some of his prophecies are like the fun ones of there's going to be people in the rice field with, he called it TVs in their hand. And it's like, yeah, hello, we're here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, did you learn to love? It's his big thing is that we're all here to learn to love. And I like remember better because remembering seems faster than learning. It seems easier to remember than to learn. Learn just has this like angst to it a little bit, but yeah, he's awesome, and his wife is awesome, and Viola is awesome. Actually, my second daughter, her middle name is named after Viola. And so, but yeah, lots of good stories with Bob, and very helpful and pivotal in my life still. He always used an amplified Bible. That's what he had, an amplified Bible, and he always wore the sweatshirt that I gave him. We had matching sweatshirt, and he hardly ever took it off. At the memorial, Rick Joyner was like, "Oh, you gave him that sweatshirt?" He was like, "We didn't think he had any other clothes." Yeah, he's like, but yeah, fun.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing all that, because it's awesome, because just such an awesome guy, and I'd like to see people like him honored more while they're alive, and I think that's part of like the legacy, or one of the many legacies of Bob, and where we get to carry it on and be those people that recognize the Bob Jones of the world, because they're out there, and really just honor those people, and because sometimes they've got it a bit rough. So
yes, very. It was rough for a little bit there, but he never let anything get him down, and he just kept doing his thing, and that's all we can do is be authentic. When we're true, then we send out a code for true, and then we keep collecting truthers. And with each step, with each thing we eat, and whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. All means all. Yeah. Every choice, every person you're hanging out with, do I go to the store today or do I go tomorrow? Like, it sounds so like detailed, and yet it really is. I mean, we have the plans, everyone's like, trust the plan. We're the plan. Right. Technology is the plan right here. So we're the ones.
Yep. We're the ones. We were chosen for this day, and it's amazing. Completely with you on that. That's so much good stuff in here. Thank you. Otherwise, if I don't stop here, we're gonna do it I would do another 3 hours, and I know you probably don't have time to do that. But where is the easiest way? I know you have swiftfire.org. Is that the best way for people to connect with you? I imagine you're on Twitter, all the social media stuff.
Yes.
You had mentioned True TV. Can you find that on swiftfire.org?
It's on YouTube, but we also air it just like StreamYard with you. We do it on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We're actually about to be moving everything on our website, hopefully. So that's kind of where we're going. But yeah, swiftfire.org. Get on the newsletter so you know any interviews I got coming up, or different classes, or things that we're doing that are extra. And thank you so much. Yeah. Telegram, Twitter, Instagram, all Dr. Sharnael. Just find me with Dr. Sharnael. I like Telegram better because I can actually be a little more honest and not get kicked off, or I can not as censored. But yeah, and I'll be looking for you too.
You don't have to misspell certain words because it's going to get flagged.
Yes, definitely.
People are like, "What are you trying to spell there?" Oh, you'll figure it out.
Exactly.
So thank you again. I'm going to wrap up. It's been an honor. Seriously, this is serious highlight. More fun than I could have even imagined. I'm actually going to go back and watch this just because I'm I'm going to go take notes, because it's so vital, the stuff you were talking about, programming your subconscious, the I will stuff. Just so many good gems. So just thank you so much.
Yes.
Really appreciate it. It's been amazing.
Yes, sir. Well, and thank you for your service. I appreciate you and what you're doing in our world. Just keep on being creative and loving and shiny, beamy. Matt, you're awesome. And let's stay in touch. Anytime you ever want me to come back, just let me know and we'll do it again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
So guys, thanks for watching. if you, again, it's swiftfire.org. If you want to catch up with Dr. Sharnael, you can find her, as she said, on most media things. I'll try to post something in the comments on YouTube and Facebook, so you can find it pretty easily. But again, thanks for watching Everyday Supernatural. It's everydaysupernatural.org, as well as the mission organization that we run is engagethinations.org. You can check those out. We have lots of classes online. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube. We have a free prophetic class coming up. If you're into intuitive reading, the prophetic, wanting to basically hear or receive communication from God and be able to encourage people, that's the next thing that we have up. And if you're watching the rebroadcast, just want to say thanks for listening wherever you're listening. And as well, if you're listening to this 5 years after the fact, all that stuff will still be available on the free prophetic class and all those kind of other things. So I just bless you. Have an amazing month, year, and go create something with your faith, your will. Go take action and just be blessed. And we will we'll catch you again on the next podcast. So talk to you soon.
That does it for this episode of Everyday Supernatural. Thanks for tuning in. To hear more episodes of Everyday Supernatural, head over to everydaysupernatural.org.